Welcome to the third online module to support teams in completing a functional assessment-based intervention. This specific module will help teams in developing and writing the intervention plan. Outcomes will be to use the decision model to determine the method for the behavior intervention plan, have an understanding of the antecedent, reinforcement, and extinction components, known as the ARE, and practice matching function-based interventions to the ARE components. First, let's review and walk through the decision model. Up to this point, your team has conducted the functional assessment, organized the data into a function matrix, and developed a hypothesis statement. The team has also composed an operationally defined replacement behavior and has started to collect baseline data. Once baseline data is completed, the team is then ready to develop an intervention plan. On Handout 6.0, the team will walk through the decision model, which will be used to frame the intervention package. So, for example, if the questions and answers that the team end up with focus on Method 1, teach the replacement behavior, then the team will focus primarily on antecedent strategies to teach the replacement behavior, and then reinforcement strategies when the replacement behavior occurs. If Method 2 is chosen, improve the environment, then the plan would also focus on antecedent strategies, but their target would provide more opportunities for the replacement behavior to occur. There could be a chance where you do Method 1 and Method 2. The last method, Method 3, is adjust the contingencies. This focuses on the reinforcement strategies matched to their function after the student demonstrates the replacement behavior. The team will start at the top of the model with question 1. Can the student perform the replacement behavior? Teams will want to use data from the ABC data collection, universal checklist, interviews, to see if they've observed the student performing the replacement behavior. The second question asks if the antecedent conditions, what occurs before the behavior happens, and the environment are best practices. Depending on both of those answers, the team will end up choosing one, or possibly two, methods. Let's look at an example. In this scenario, the team answered yes, the student can perform the replacement behavior. They had data to show that this has occurred. The second question, do antecedent conditions represent effective practices? The teams had used data, possibly ABC and universal checklist, to indicate that those were not effective. So therefore, the method for the intervention package would be 2, that the team has to frame the intervention plan to improve the environment. This image also would contain various other paths depending on how they answer the questions. So using this scenario, if the team continued to answer yes, the student could perform the replacement behavior, and yes, the antecedent conditions were effective, what would be their method now? Hopefully, you indicated Method 3, adjust the contingencies. Now that the frame of the plan has been identified from the decision model, let's focus on the components of any behavior intervention plan. Take a moment to review this slide. You will notice the ARE components on the left: antecedents, reinforcement, extinction. The middle column is the definition for each one of those. And the last column is some alternative language you might see, such as in exceed or here. Let's talk about the ARE as you look at some examples provided. First, as you begin, you always want to make sure to take into account the method and the function. Each one of these strategies will address these. In this example, the team has answered the questions in the decision model to get a method 2, which was, yes, improving the environment. The hypothesized function is to access adult attention. The team considers what antecedent strategies might need to be present in the classroom in order for the replacement behavior to occur more frequently. So they choose to sit the student facing the whiteboard. That is an improvement to the environment. They would like the teacher to review a schedule and to check in before assignments are started. Both of these are accessing teacher attention, but also improving the environment so the student would be able to understand and follow through with the tasks. Since they are building those specific antecedents, we want to make sure that the teacher acknowledges the student when displaying the replacement behavior. The student's function is to get attention, so we want to give the student attention when he displays the replacement behavior. Extinction can be tricky. Ultimately, think of this strategy for the adult's behavior. If typically the student would be off task and the teacher would go up to him and talk to him, that was reinforcing his off task because he wanted the teacher's attention. So these strategies need to look different. You will notice the team is asking the teacher to not give him attention when off task, but a simple redirection, or first to look at the other students who are behaving appropriately and to acknowledge them. This way, the student will get minimal interactions when he is off task and more interactions when he is on. Let's practice. Read this scenario. Would this strategy be under the antecedent, reinforcement, or extinction? What component would this go under? And lastly, where would this component fall in the behavior intervention plan? In this brief online module, we reviewed the function-based decision model to determine the method for the behavior intervention plan. We discussed the antecedent, reinforcement, and extinction components, and you were able to practice matching function-based intervention strategies to the ARE components.